Good morning. This is Patricia Carrabon-Smith, and we are doing Conversations with Anglicans. And today we have Derek West, Trinity East Principal. Welcome, Mr. West. How are you today?
Thank you. I'm very well, thank you. I am in good spirits and eager to engage you this morning.
Oh, thank you so very much. So who is Derek West?
Well, very simply, I'm a very simple person, a native of San Fernando. I am the last of 10 children of Dorothy and Errol West, both deceased. I am the husband of one, father of two boys. I've been an Anglican for my entire life and have served the church over the years at many different levels, from acolyte to diocesan council member for the last 8 years. In a nutshell, Derek West is just simply Derek West.
Okay, well, glad to meet you, Derek West. So you are the principal at Trinity East for 20 years. Tell us about that journey.
Ah, that's a long story. I'll have to break it up in many different parts to share that with you this morning.
And
But
that's fine.
the journey was incredible, full of lots of challenges, which I enjoyed fully. It started with a staff mostly of inexperienced teachers, a 3-year intake of students from the junior secondary and the corridor, alongside the SEA intake. We had challenges with discipline, while at the same time trying to create a new culture and school identity. So it was about forging a new brand of school on the nation, and with limited tools, inexperienced tools, um, the challenge of changing the mindsets of young men into wanting to achieve academically.
Okay.
And all of that put together, um, that was the startup for Trinity College East. We had to make ourselves known. We had to help the young men transition from, particularly those from the junior secondary, transition from a mindset of anything happens to I have a plan. And for our new intake from the SEA, we had to guarantee them that hard work pays off with ultimate success.
Okay. So when did you think that you made that breakthrough with the students and the teachers and the learning? Did it take you 2 years, 5 years? How long was it before you make that breakthrough and you can see some results from it?
Well, that journey is ongoing. That journey is ongoing. Our teaching staff, they are continuing to develop. They're developing quickly now. Their progress has accelerated over the years. The majority of them have now a very good understanding. But by now, quite a few of them have had 20 years experience. Yes. And we've developed that culture within the school, which allows anyone coming in now to adjust even quicker than we did in our initial years. Our student body now have a reputation to uphold, because the word is now out there that Trinity College is a school that's focused. It's a school that is going to get you there. It's a school that will allow you to rise to your true potential.
Great. Great. So that's great to know. So how did COVID-19 affect the administration, the students, and the teachers? Because you're always striving for things to happen. and COVID-19 came in, and I'm sure that has changed some of the dialogue there. So can you speak to that with us?
Well, March 13 brought a culture shock for all of us. We had to respond quickly to the demands of education in an unfamiliar environment. Fortunately for us at TCE, we were already engaged in blended teaching and learning. So adaptation for us was not too challenging for most. As a school administrator, I had to focus on teaching and learning and administrating in a virtual space,
Yes.
while ensuring that we reached the majority of our students and helped them along in terms of their own adjustment to this totally new environment. Yes, but the transition wasn't too difficult because of the fact that we were dabbling in blended learning previous March 13th. Our teachers adapted quickly, right? We adapted our teaching schedule, we adapted our teaching style, the number of contact hours that we had with the kids, because too much contact hours in a virtual space is not recommended.
Okay.
And our students started off slowly because quite a lot of them thought that this thing was just going to be short-lived. So it wasn't initially something that was a must. Some of them took it for granted that, okay, I'll be back out of school in no time. But when the stark reality broke, I think the adjustment came a little more quickly for our student body.
Mhm. So have you seen any deterioration of learning as far as the results on the kids during this blended training, or have they kept up the standard?
The jury is still out on that, yeah,
Okay.
because it really takes a little while to get that kind of data and to speak to it. But what I can say is that in 2020, we received our best results ever at CSEC,
That
right?
is fantastic.
We have broken our 90% pass rate barrier, right? And so those who had the task of completing their preparation for CSEC between March and June,
Mhm.
we think that the impact was not that great adversely, and they did extremely well. So it is hope that the continuation for those who are continuing in their studies in this new environment, that it will not negatively impact their development and their progress.
Okay, so that's actually fantastic to hear. You've always encouraged and challenged your members and staff and your students to embrace and embody the institution core values, which are respect, integrity, open and honest communication, intellectual and creative inquiry, and service. So because of those core values, have you been able to continue to see those develop with this virtual learning?
Yes, a great emphasis was placed on building character. And those core values played an important part in giving us some guidelines in terms of what was needed to be worked on in terms of the character of these young men. So on a regular basis in our assemblies, I I did an annual meet the principal with every year group. And so we chatted a lot about these values and what was expected of them. So there was a constant reminder that you had to build character. And these were the guidelines that were set for building good character.
Okay.
And with a consistent effort by me, a consistent effort by my middle management, which would be my deans and heads of department, and that trickled down to teachers in the most part. I think we did a good job. Sometimes it didn't always show itself, the results didn't always show itself while the student was there, but we have noticed when we engage our past students that we have done it. We
Okay.
have achieved building good character in a large majority of our students.
So these meetings that you had with the parents, were they on Zoom or virtual, or were they in person?
Um, with COVID,
Yeah.
our meetings were all virtual.
Okay.
From day one, we went virtual with our parents. What we did initially was we used Zoom, but because Zoom was limited in terms of numbers, we had to break it up into small groups of classes,
All right.
right? At the beginning of the 2020-21 academic year, the school invested in Microsoft Teams. So we were able to host larger numbers. We were able to host a large year group. And whenever I had to do a full address to all parents,
Mhm.
we would switch to YouTube Live.
Okay. So out of those three, you had Zoom, Microsoft Teams, and YouTube Live. Which one did you feel more comfortable with, or which one did you like using the most?
I think Microsoft Teams would have been the most convenient for me.
Okay.
Um, Zoom and Microsoft Teams basically have very similar features, but because we were able to host larger numbers, it was easier for me to work with a population, because we have a student population of 875.
Yes.
So it was easier for me to take a whole year group of parents and interact with them on Microsoft Teams, get feedback, ask questions, um, give responses, that kind of thing. So I
Mhm.
would go with Microsoft Teams.
Mhm. Were the parents very interactive on that and accommodating? And did they find that, did you find that you had a lot of parents coming on those platforms with you?
Yeah, I think we had a large percentage of parents accessing our meetings via the
Platform.
virtual realm, and the feedback was good because it would usually take the form of an address by me and then questions and answer time. And they listened attentively during the address, and boy, did they have questions. And we did as best as possible in giving them feedback that they need.
So maybe a 1.5 hour meeting might have ended up being 3 hours.
Well, not quite. I don't think we made three, but yes, a 1.5 meeting did go over time.
Okay, okay. But one of the advantages of that, they don't have to get transportation or jump in their car to come to a meeting and then after get transportation or go back home. So
Yeah.
that was a big advantage with that.
Oh yes, it was a big advantage, and those meetings with parents were held at convenient hours.
Right.
So we did 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock meetings. We know that parents have gotten back from work, gotten a chance to really sit down and relax, kick off their shoes, that kind of thing, and then allow them to engage us.
All right.
So yeah, it was really convenient for the parents. They had no transportation issues. They didn't have to run away from work to come to
Right.
parents' meetings, that kind of thing. So yeah, it worked for them as well because this new environment has its advantages. It is not all downhill.
Mhm. So how hard is it to create an emphasis on the partnership between students, parents, and guardians in the church and the community as a parochial school?
It wasn't difficult. What we promised the parents is that we're not about converting. We are not about pushing the Anglican Church on you. What we do is to help them understand how we worship,
Mhm.
and at every stage, we explain to them what our worship was all about
Great.
and what the Anglican Church was all about. And the Anglican Church is a very open and all-embracing church. And therefore, it made it easy for us to embrace all religions. And so we went about doing that. We taught religious education, which was a very open,
Denominational.
denominational kind of schedule. And we were able to, for the majority of them, they accepted what we had on offer. Um, we taught about all religions, right? But we did, in doing that, try to explain as best as possible what the Anglican religion was all about.
And were those religious classes, were they optional or were they mandatory?
They were part of our fixed schedule, but parents who wanted to object were allowed to. So we did get a few requests, and very few requests from some parents for their sons not to participate. But you know what? When we got those letters, we accepted them. And lo and behold, most of the boys who brought those letters ended up in the class.
Okay.
Right? So it was really a smooth environment to work with in terms of sharing a religious belief while teaching about religions in Trinidad and Tobago.
And teaching and student, it's like osmosis. Students like to suck up or get information. And it's always good to get the information. They can make a choice later on in life if they want to do something, but it's nice that you get the exposure and you can learn different things instead of one type of religion, one type of doing things, because like you did earlier on, you had Zoom, you had Teams, and you had YouTube. And then it had times you had to make a choice of which one you wanted to use that best suit most of the people. So that's great to hear. The strategic areas of focus in your school include academic excellence, all-round student development, moral and spiritual development, technology leadership, world of work and education for sustainable development. What do you do at the school to achieve these strategic areas?
Well, in a nutshell, it's about planning. And a lot of credit must be given to the Board of Management for the way they introduced strategic planning to the school.
Okay.
Yes, I think because to me, as a teacher, I never engaged strategic planning. Yes, we got instructions from the principals, we got timetables, we got teaching schedules, and we went to work. But to introduce a business type approach of strategic planning to an institution was to me a really novel idea. And it worked. It took some while in getting the staff to understand what it was all about. But we did the planning collectively. We collectively set our strategic targets and goals. And we made a decision and a plan as to how to go about implementing and executing in order to achieve that as a focus. Teachers knew what they were working towards. Students had an expectation of what was required of them. And parents understood what we were doing. So with all the stakeholders engaged in the whole process, I think that is what has been a major part of our success at Trinity College East and of course at Bishop Anstey as well.
Okay, great. So on a personal level, what brings you joy?
Seeing success. Seeing success. In the teaching environment, I pride myself and I pat myself on the back when I see my students years later and I see how they have matured. I see how they have gained success, and not just financial success and stuff, but success in life in terms of how they have developed. Yes, part of part of the of my retirement has been the school has organized a virtual space where persons can come and give tributes. And I've read some of those tributes. I have seen some of those tributes because some of them have been videotaped. And some of the young men have blown me away with what they have been able to give feedback on in terms of my impact on their lives and the school's impact on their lives. And that is what gives me joy.
Okay, so are you retired now or going through retirement?
I am a few days officially from full retirement.
Okay, so you're on pre-retirement right now. How does that feel?
Oh, that is great.
It's
I'm
great.
enjoying it. I'm enjoying it. I'm thoroughly enjoying it.
Okay.
No regrets. According to Frank Sinatra, I did it my way,
You did it your way.
and I'm fully satisfied with what I have achieved over the years throughout my teaching career, not only at Trinity Colleges, but throughout my teaching career, and I can now sit back and enjoy.
So may I ask, what are you doing now during pre-retirement and maybe what you would take to you in retirement?
Pre-retirement, I'm enjoying the family life that I missed out on. Because particularly at Trinity Colleges, it was challenging. I left home before sunrise. I returned after sunset. So I now have an opportunity to engage with family life in a way that I've never done before. So I'm enjoying that. I have two young men, and I'm enjoying getting to know them better,
Okay.
and helping them through all the challenges of their lives.
Okay. Are they still in secondary school or are they, older and working?
Well, actually, I have a young family.
Okay.
So my eldest is doing second year A levels,
Uh-huh.
and my youngest is at primary.
Okay. Okay. So if I may ask, is he at Trinity East?
No, we had to make the decision. We thought about Trinity Colleges, but we had to make the decision in terms of what was best for him, right? And having to, because I endured the hours working at Trinity, so I had to endure um, less sleep hours, longer work hours, hours on the road. And I think putting a young 11-year-old, a 12-year-old through that grind every day would have been challenging for him. In addition to that, the bonds that you would have made in school are bonds that would have of persons who would have been quite a distance away from where you are. So
Mhm.
engaging them would have been a challenging. Your friends would have only been your friends at school
Right,
and nowhere else.
right.
So we really thought about it and decided that he will be educated himself.
Mhm. And I think also it's nice for them to have that differentiation from home life, school life, personal life, that's part of the development also. So I think, it might, that most likely benefited him. So,
That is absolutely correct.
yes. So what's your favorite pastime besides spending time with your family? What else do you like to do?
Quiet time.
Quiet time. Thinking,
Yes, a lot of
reading.
quiet time, thinking, um, engaging in a movie, doing puzzles.
Mhm.
Yeah, just quiet time.
Okay, okay. Is there something on your bucket list that you would like to do now that you have all this time? You're not devoting so much time to work and education. Is there something in your bucket list that you say, you know what, I always wanted to do that. I didn't have the time. This is a good opportunity to do that now.
You know what? I always pride myself in being a very unique person,
Uh-huh.
so I don't have a bucket list.
Oh, you don't?
Yes, I really don't. I don't have any things that I want to do or to achieve or to see. Or I'm just a very simple person who's satisfied with simple things
You're satisfied with your accomplishment, what you have done throughout the years. So you've been doing maybe your bucket list all through the years while
all through the
working.
years. Yes.
Okay. What would you like to see in the school as far as the future is concerned?
Um, I think we have the potential to continue to develop much more than where we are at now. Academically, I think we have far to go. I keep telling the young men at Trinity colleges, there's no reason why we are not capable of achieving 100% pass rate on an annual basis. So part of my conversations with my year group was just that. You have the potential to achieve ultimate success, each and every one of you,
Mhm,
right? Secondly, I think we as educators have to realize that the structure of our school environment doesn't always cater for young men. And we have to fashion our schools, our boys' schools, and our schools with boys to accommodate the young men. Yes, it's not just about sit, come and learn. We giving you all you need to get, and you do the rest. It is about engaging them. It is about making them believe in themselves and having an understanding of the purpose of why they're there.
mhm,
So I think as a school, I would like to see Trinity engage much more in that. I would like to see greater success coming out of Trinity colleges. I would like to see the school develop as a school that allows the full mixture of the life of a young man in terms of young men playing sports, young men engaging in adult activities that will develop their character,
mhm.
and young men developing academically.
So would that mean to say that you will have to expand the curriculum that they are presently offering at Trinity East?
Um, some tinkering with the curriculum is necessary, yes, but it's not a major overhaul. Um, but it's just a focus in terms of what you do and how you and what you pay emphasis on.
Okay. Now, this is a personal question. I know you all have an IT program at Trinity East, don't you?
Yes, we do.
Okay. So have anybody ever approached you or anybody at the school for any of your students and maybe teachers to do some volunteer work at any of the churches now that they have gone virtual? I've heard a couple of the churches asking for people to help out with their IT. And it's not necessarily mean that people have to continuously come there. Sometimes they just need the expertise of the people who know a little more about IT. Has anybody ever approached you on that?
Well, no official approach we've gotten to date,
Mhm,
but we have had small requests for information and advice, which we
mhm,
have given, but no real official approach in terms of the school supporting any individual, any church or church group, as the case may be.
Mhm. So do you think that would be something that could happen maybe in the future?
Well, I'm sure that the school is always willing to give back to the church, and I feel confident that if approached, that the school will respond positively.
Okay. Well, I wouldn't take this opportunity for you to give me a name or number or anything, but that would be an opportunity for anybody listening to this to maybe reach out to the school. So in parting, is there anything else you would like us to know about Derek West?
Um, well, one of the things that I pride myself on while I was working at Trinity, and I told everybody that whenever you need an ear, I'm an extremely good listener.
Okay.
Yes, I have provided that listening ear to members of staff, to some parents, and of course, by all means, to my student body. So I had a very open door policy at Trinity Colleges. Whenever you wanted to say something to me, I would make myself available to you. Sometimes not always at your timing, but I would try to make myself available. So yeah, that basically is
Gifts,
one of
that's one of your gifts.
one of my talents, I would say, is more of a talent that I have for listening and giving advice. And the other thing is that I'm a problem solver. My background is in mathematics, and I'm a problem solver. So if you have a problem, I know that there's a solution. The challenge would be to find it.
Okay. Well, with that being said, soon we'll have people asking for your phone number, your email, where you live, your contact, everything, because you're the person that could help us with solving problems, a good listener, and being able to give advice. That is a great note to end on. Thank you so much, Derek West, for spending the time with us. Conversation with Anglicans is hosted every Saturday at 5 p.m. on the Anglican Outlook page. My name is Patricia Carrabon-Smith, and it was a pleasure having you today. Thank you so very much.
And thank you.
Okay, have a nice day.
Same to you.
Bye-bye. Okay.
Bye-bye.